Simultaneous submission.
Oh, behave.
No, that's not what we're talking about here. Simultaneous submission means that you have gotten the right to submit your book manuscript to not just one, but two and maybe more university presses for simultaneous review and consideration for publication. So you have a book, you've spent all this time working on it. It could also be a book proposal and sample chapter, but you, instead of just sending it to one press, send it to two or more, and they review it simultaneously and decide whether or not they want to make an offer. In this video, I want to talk about what this is, why you might want to do it, some pros and cons and kind of pitfalls and cautions, and then just my general assessment of my own experience. Hi, I'm Tom Mullaney. If you're new to the channel, I talk about all things academia. So after spending years and years working on a book, the next major question is, where can I get it published? For most people, especially first-time authors, this is such a worry that we often assume that there's just going to be one possible option out there for us. We just desperately want one press to show interest, one editor to say, yes, I'm interested in this, send it my way. And then, oh my gosh, if the universe is willing, one press will consider publishing it. Well, I'm here to tell you that you should have some confidence in yourself and that maybe more than one press might be interested in publishing your book. So, under such circumstances, there is this thing called simultaneous submission, which is where you get the permission to send your book manuscript to more than one press at a time. Now, in the first part of this video, I want to talk about the benefits of this process. The first and biggest benefit of this is that if two presses are both interested in publishing your work, then they will compete with each other in terms of contract terms. And so if you have two offers, that means that you can negotiate over the following factors and more: advance, royalty percentages, royalty basis, whether or not a hard copy and paperback will come out simultaneously or sequentially, and a variety of other factors. If you have just one offer, then really it's take it or leave it. You don't have a lot of negotiating ability, let's say. But when two come in, you can bring people into this triangular relationship with yourself. Another minor benefit is because each press is aware of the other one, which is an issue we're going to come back to. They are both aware that the other press is reviewing your work. Typically speaking, in my experience, the review process is faster because each press does not want to be the one that's lagging behind, that's reviewing things too slowly, because they fear losing your book to the other press. So they tend to put pressure on their reader reports. They tend to try to get those reader reports in faster. Sometimes they send your book out to 2 rather than 3 readers. That's rare. But if they're really interested in your work, they're not going to want to lose it to the other press. So the benefits are very clear. You can get better contract terms, you can negotiate, and the process can be faster. Now, if you were to pursue this, and this is the second part of our discussion, how to do this. Under no circumstances, ever, should you ever do simultaneous submission without getting the permission and full awareness of all parties involved. You will be persona non grata if you send your book out to multiple editors at the same time without those editors both being aware of and signing off on that fact. So if you take one thing away from this video, it is this: do not just do simultaneous submission on your own. What you need to do is craft a very carefully worded email to both editors, or if there's three editors, to explain that while you are deeply interested in press X, that you have had in the past conversations with press Y, and that you really are eager to find the best home possible for your work. And so with your permission, or if it's okay with you, would you be open to simultaneous submission? And they will know what that term means. You do not need to say what the other press is, and I would recommend that at the early stage, you do not say what the other press is. Don't give the name of it, don't name the editor, don't name the press, but that it is a peer press in the field. If the editor and the publisher are truly interested in your work, especially if you're a second-time author, but sometimes first-time authors have a very big name and they can pull this off as well, they will say yes because they A, want your book, and B, they feel very self-confident. It's kind of weird for an editor to say, like, sheepishly, oh gosh, if we compete with anyone, we'll fail. They don't want to come across as lacking confidence in their home institution. And so they'll say, yeah, we can compete. Go for it. We are more than happy for you to send your manuscript to one other press. And then under very rare circumstances, maybe 2 other presses, 3 in total. The key here is that you need to craft this email very carefully. You need to do it in a non-aggressive way, at least in my view, and you need to explain that your reason for doing it is because this is your baby. You have spent maybe a decade of your life working on it, and you have every right to want to find the best home and the best terms for this work, and they'll understand. Editors are extremely, extremely supportive of authors in university presses and beyond, but I know university presses. So you craft this email, you send it, hopefully you get a yes reply, and then now you're in business. If you get this green light, this go-ahead from one editor, now you're pretty much in a great position, because if there is that second press, like by this point you haven't written to the second press yet, if there is a second press, you can say the manuscript is definitely going to be reviewed by another press, but blah, blah, blah. This is my baby. I mean, you don't have to say this is my baby, but this is a project I've dedicated my life to thus far. I want a best home for it. Would you be open to me submitting it to your press and also to another in the simultaneous submission? Now here, things are a little bit different, because at this point you already have the yes from the first party. You already have that in your pocket. So if the second press says, no, we're not comfortable with that, you haven't blown anything. You still have a press that you can send your manuscript to. But the second one is going to have even more reason to say yes. Not only do they want to, and maybe are, very self-confident, very confident in their press, very interested in your work, but they're also going to say, oh, well, it's already, this other press has already said yes to this, so there's no reason for us not to, out of principle. Now, do you want to do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? That's the realm of agents. And I'm not talking about agencies or having representation. I'm talking about representing yourself. For my rule of thumb, I would say you want, for simultaneous submission, 2, maximum 3 presses. I would say 4 or more. First of all, the editors involved might feel like, no, I don't want to be part of that mess. Our chances are just mathematically lower, and I don't like that. I don't want to put in all the effort. But also for your purposes, it's just a potential shit show. And so I would say that 2 or 3 is what you want to do. 2 is the most common of all. Okay, so now you've got the green light to do this. Well, the next step of the process is you submit the exact same package to both. How do you negotiate? Well, let's put the simplest condition first. Let's say that one press is interested and is going to offer you a contract. The other one says no. Well, then it's pretty simple. You only have one offer. You don't necessarily have to broadcast that, however, to the press that has made you a contract offer. You don't have to say, the other publisher passed on me and they think the book sucks, so please, continue. You can kind of leave that a little bit mysterious, but that's a kind of a cut and dry case. Let's imagine that both presses are interested in your work. You go through the author response letter, and they are truly interested in issuing you a contract. Now begins the contract negotiation process. I have a whole other separate video I'm working on for that, so I won't go into the details of it. But at this point, you are now in a conversation with the 2 presses, with the 2 editors. And I encourage you to be on your best behavior. Do not be an aggressive asshole. They're human beings. They're trying to do their best. And you should not try to be a kind of pretentious, show me the money kind of person in this negotiation. But what you can be, and what in my experience is a very effective way of negotiating that doesn't leave you feeling gross at the end of the day, is what I would consider negotiation transparency. So if I get an offer, or if I get better offers or a counter offer from one side, I will simply forward that. I might strip some information. I might remove the names of the press, for example, or I might reveal it, I don't know, and send it along to the other party and say, I'm not saying I'm not giving an ultimatum. All I'm showing you is what I have been offered from this other party. What you do with this is up to you. They might say, that's a great offer, we can't match it, go for it. Or they might say, without you prompting, we can do better or we can match that. It's a way of negotiating that is not aggressive. It's not like, do this or I walk, that kind of a thing. It's just transparency. I have received this offer. I wanted to share it with you in the spirit of transparency, and let's move from there. I think you'll find that if you find yourself in this this is a great position to be in, to have multiple offers for your book. It's an amazing opportunity that simply sharing the information will get you to the best offer possible. And of course, the publishers have their limits, the editors have their limits, they have their budgets, they won't go beyond that. But that is the way, in my experience, just transparency, clarity of communication is the best way to get to the best possible offer for your book. Well, that's pretty much all I have for you today. If there's anything that you are unclear about or have questions about with the simultaneous submission process, or publishing in general, or academia in general, leave a comment in the comments field. Share this video, give it a like, and subscribe. It means a whole lot. I'll see you in the next video.